Bitch!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unimaginary Friendcast. This is episode 267. It's a conversation with your socially distanced best friends. We are those best friends.
I'm Nathan Von Edmondson.
I'm Erin Marie Betty Davis Jr.
And I'm DavidMonster.com.
Oh my gosh. And today, so this is going to be part 2 of our 2-part birth spectacular. So you might remember a few weeks ago, we blew the lid off of birthing by presenting some pretty incredible facts about human birth and other mammals that, I guess everybody gives birth, but so
everybody gives birth.
Pretty much, right? Is there any species that doesn't? I guess there's some like amoebas that just replicate, but that's kind of like birth?
Well, there's like laying eggs. Do you consider that birth?
Yeah, it's a form. I consider it a form of birth.
Okay, well, we didn't blow the lid off.
Sexual reproduction versus asexual reproduction.
Oh yeah, huh?
All right. Anyway.
Okay, so let's just talk about we blew the lid off of mammals.
There you go.
The birth of mammals. But today we have a completely different point of view to share because one of us, and you're not going to know which one of us until we tell you, actually gave birth and lived to tell the tale. And
Wait.
That person is going to share all the juicy details with you today. And if you're not strapped in, buckle your car seats. Do you like that one? Buckle your car seats.
Do you guys know which one gave birth?
We're not there yet. Wait, let me finish my really
Wait, Nathan, do you know which one of us gave birth?
David,
don't spoil the big reveal.
I'm just shocked. Okay, go ahead.
So my intro is just so great.
Sorry.
I'm not going to hold back any of the details. But first, that was all I had left. We got breaking news. I feel like I should go first with the breaking news. I have a general piece of news and then my personal news. The general news is that we do have a winner of the baby due date contest. If you remember, we did ask people to guess when the baby would be due, and one person got it right.
One? Only one?
One person.
Who was it?
That person is named Josh Wilkinson.
Wait, I was the one who got it right.
David guessed 3 different times. Every time he was wrong, he get a new guess.
So I get a third of the prize. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, Josh Wilkinson guessed March 18th, which was, if anyone was paying attention, 2 weeks past my due date. So everybody was wrong except for Josh, who threw that date out because it was his own birthday. Really. So yeah, congratulations to Josh.
Are him and the baby twins?
Yeah, birthday twins. And then my news, we also asked people to help us name this child. And I'm here to reveal what the actual name is.
What is it?
Glumdalklitchvelour
Von Edmondson. Yay! She's going to be an author and a stripper.
No, her name is Cora Rose.
Cora Rose Von Edmondson.
Yep.
She's going to be a blonde bombshell.
Yeah. Cora was the lead woman in Last of the Mohicans in the book and the movie from the 90s, which was awesome. And Rose was my great-grandmother's name.
Oh, cool. Right on. Wait, so you guys came up with that and there's no winners. You guys are the winners, nobody else, right? For the name game?
Yeah.
I guess we're the winners.
We would have considered a good option, but we didn't get any. So sorry, everybody.
So you didn't get any? Wait, so what does the birthday guesser get? Because he's supposed to get a prize.
I'll reveal that in the next podcast.
I think he also gets to forever have his birthday undermined by Cora. It's quite a prize.
Or they share in all the glory.
Oh, there you go.
Who's next? David, we haven't talked to you in a while. What's going on?
Well, I have so much news, but I'm just gonna go with one today.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
Okay, we have the first time there's a mainstream song. What's the first? This year, last week, the first thing, this is the first for a mainstream song. What is it?
What
and it
is
was in the
first?
news and everything. It's a first for a mainstream song in America.
I
And
know.
go ahead, yeah.
Is it about LGBTQ topics?
Yeah, the first blatantly dude on dude song Lil Nas X put out, Montero, Call Me By Your Name, and it debuted at #1. So all these years, people saying that gay music can't say it, like it debuted at #1, people. And it I don't know if you guys know this, but the video features Satan getting a lap dance from Nas X.
My question is, you said like in that sarcastic voice, like gay music can't sell. What is gay music? Is that just a gay musician, or is that like the content of the song or artist?
Yeah, because in the 80s even, because there were some underground people doing gay music and stuff, but they were like, nope, you got to straighten it up. Because there's a lot of music that came forward that like would start out as underground music, but when the people got signed, they would have to straighten up their songs and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just any gay content or gay even like they tried to sell us George Michael as being straight in the 80s. So yeah, it's just anything gay. So wait, this is interesting because I had to look this up. The first commercial American broadcast was in November 2nd, 1920.
Wow.
100 years before any homo could sing about being a homo.
That's crazy. Well, my question to you would be, what if Tom Cruise put out an album?
Yeah, then that would be the first gay album. Why didn't you put out an album? You could have had the first.
I don't know. He's a good singer. Have you ever watched Top Gun?
No. I've watched part of it. I haven't watched all of it. But have you guys watched Future Man yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, because they do a really funny, one episode is all about volleyball playing and stuff. And anyways.
We should do a live commentary of Top Gun someday, David.
I'd be happy to.
The original.
The original.
Because remember, it was voted the gayest movie after Predator, the gayest movie ever made.
After Predator?
We talked about it. Yeah, remember we talked about it on air because remember Predator not only has a bunch of sweaty guys who are
Right.
but also the monster's mouth looks like a giant vagina.
Right.
I do remember that.
And they have to destroy the giant vagina.
Pumped up men have to destroy a vagina.
Yeah, destroying a vagina. This is going to be a great segue to the topic, but Nathan's got to give his news first.
I gave my news. That was my news. Oh, Nathan has to give. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you're not Nathan. You're DavidMonster.com. All right. So my news is familial news.
Okay.
So Cora Rose showed up, and then 2 weeks later, a stork delivered her. My little younger brother had his first child, a daughter as well. So there's 2 little girls that showed up in our family, delivered by storks.
A week apart? Just like a week apart? Oh, 2 weeks apart?
Yeah.
But they're on the other side of the state. That's too bad you guys can't raise them together.
I know. We were actually talking about that we're in the same state, but it's still so far.
Yeah.
It's 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours.
A lot more FaceTime interactions, and I'm sure we'll be in touch as much as we can, but it would be nice if we could just drive over to their house in 20 minutes or less.
Major shout out. For sure.
Yes.
Totally. Oh, that's cute. We should talk about, I feel like we should talk about since this hasn't happened, another thing that hasn't happened in 100 years, the first vaccines. I got my first vaccine. Did you guys get them?
Good. Well done. We are not eligible still.
You're not? Because in California, everybody's eligible. It's a fist fight and a free for all.
I think it'll be another week for Philadelphia.
Really? You guys are screwing around because you guys have I think that in the whole state, you guys have as many people as we have in Los Angeles. I think that's the statistic or something like that.
Probably likely.
I feel like I thought LA had way more people than Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
the city of LA has more people than the entire state of Pennsylvania?
I would guess by far.
Philly's like 4 or 5 million.
Yeah.
And we have double then. That's Philly is 4 or 5 million. Okay, good.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it's about 11 million total.
Maybe.
Pennsylvania. I'm not sure.
So you guys are screwing around. I want to say that I'm lucky. I didn't have any reactions except for a tiny little pain in where it was injected. Just tiny. But I will say a lot of people have been talking about this. I haven't experienced as much interference with my cell phone and my Wi-Fi as other people have, but I have experienced a little bit every once in a while. You know, just certain things. You know, you'll notice like a call will like get fuzzy or something like that, or like texts get weird. Just yeah.
But because you are 5G now?
No, because of the microchip.
Oh, the microchip. I didn't know. Like, I thought that you became like a 5G like signal tower after that.
Maybe on the you mean I can? So if I get my second one, then I start emanating 5G.
I believe so.
Yeah,
because because the microchip is not. I haven't even noticed it. You kind of feel it a little bit, and just a little bit of interference, and that's it.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, well, we're excited for to be more
excited to get it.
We're trying to be more connected to Bill Gates.
Yeah.
You know?
So you didn't get Johnson and Johnson.
I actually have. I don't know what I got.
Okay.
All right. Moving on.
Can you angle that towards you a little bit?
Yeah. We got our fancy mics on today. All right. Our gold star for this week is Japanese food artist Tomoko Sato. And we are live right now. So the one benefit of being live is that I can show a picture. And I do have some of the pictures of what Tomoko does. She turns ordinary food and veggies into food sculptures. And she hand carves them into these incredible designs, like symmetrical patterns. And apparently it's a Thai tradition where she learned it there. And the tradition goes back, I don't know how many years in Thailand, where they would decorate fruit and vegetables for royalty there. So Tomoko went and learned it, and she does all these insane designs. These are some apples behind me. We have her name is Tomoko Sato. So if you give her a Google search,
oh no!
Uh-oh, busted.
Oh, the little baby.
So
wait, where'd you guys get the baby?
A stork.
Cat's out of the bag. It's not David who gave birth. It's either Nathan or I.
Wait, I didn't give birth?
You did, then you shipped us your child.
Oh, sounds like something I would do.
It does, actually. Given that we have a child now in the shot, do you guys want to jump into this episode?
Sure. And I should have done this before, but here, I'm just going to show so everybody can see. That's what this bitch does by hand. That's what she does by hand. And you got to look. It's out of control. And you got to go on our Facebook to see she does it to all these fruits and vegetables and stuff. And you're like, how is that possible? She's crazy. That's how it's possible.
Yeah, it's some amazing artwork. And it's almost sad because you know that it's just going to wilt and be thrown away in a day. But it's...
Can't you eat it?
Yeah, probably.
Oh.
Oh, baby.
This is going to be a great podcast for people.
They're gonna see what it's like to have a child.
Just do a quick pause for our audio listeners.
Oh, here, I can mute you guys. Here. There, I muted you guys. Wave your arms when you want to be unmuted. So today's podcast is about childbirth and child rearing, and about a child. There's a baby. I don't know where they got the baby, but they got it. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about childbirth uncensored. They're going to tell all the ins and outs and ups and downs and everything. And we're going to blow the lid off having babies. Did that thing shut up yet? Oh, yeah, I don't hear anymore. Okay, so we're going to do this. Oh, we got comments. Oh, look at Brittany Nicole Timmons is on. Aw, they'll be cousins BFF. She's talking about the babies.
All right, so
and Brittany Nicole Timmons also says, hi, Cora. Oh, Brittany says, hi, Cora.
All right. You hear us, though?
All right. Yeah, so we're going to do this interview style, and then you guys can riff if you want to. Are you guys ready? And I have some heart. You guys, when you guys signed up for this podcast, when you agreed to be interviewed, you knew there's going to be some hardball questions. So I have some hardball questions, and we're going to need some honest answers.
You pause this again?
No, I need to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to come back to you. All right. The question, you guys can hear me, right? Okay. So this is the first question, everybody. Did you do birthing drugs? And if so, if you did it natural, we want to describe the pain for real. Okay, go ahead.
Hold on, we're paused right now.
Oh, I can't walk away. That's what happens when you have a baby, people. So don't go running around. This is real life, people.
All right, David, can you ask that question one more time?
Yes, did you do birthing drugs? And if not, we want you to describe the pain for real.
I had a completely unmedicated birth from start to finish, and that includes like the aftermath. I didn't even take a Tylenol.
Wow. Okay, so what was the pain? You have to describe the pain as it's happening, starting with the contractions.
This is an interesting place to start. I figured we'd start at the beginning, but I like your curveball here. The pain was the worst pain you can ever imagine, and then you multiply it by like 3,000.
So describe it. Like what kind of pain? Where is it? Like
at first it's in your abdomen. It's the contractions are, your whole belly is your uterus and it's contracting. So that's very painful. And then when you're starting to push the baby out, it feels like your entire body has been turned inside out, and it's trying to come out of your butthole.
Out of your butthole, not your vagina?
No, your butthole.
So wait a minute. So as it's going on and you start to feel the pain, what do you think? Like, what's your thought process going on as the pain, like the pain starts hitting you?
Well, it doesn't start at, assuming that there's a scale from 1 to 10, it doesn't start at 10. Mine started at maybe 4 or 5. So, it ramps up. So right away you're like, okay, you're still in your cognitive mind and you're like, okay, I think this is a contraction. I think I'm in labor, and you can still have conversations and think about things and make decisions and have conversations. And at a certain point you're like in this weird animal brain, and you're not even like a human anymore.
You're not even human anymore. You're giving birth and you're not even human anymore. That's an interesting way to put it. So when it hits 10, what's your thought process? Are you like, fuck this? Or are you like...
It's funny I said 1 to 10 because that's the centimeters that you have to go up. That's not what I meant. I meant like a scale of 1 to 10, like pain-wise. But like,
yeah,
centimeters is your absolute worst pain. Like, what was your question?
When it hits 10, what's your thought process? Like, what are you thinking?
Help me.
Yeah, I did grab Nathan a few times and was just like, help me. Just knowing that no one could help me except for me, or no one, even myself, I couldn't help me. You just had to deal with it and go through it.
Did you think about asking for the drugs? Were you like, fuck it, I'm taking the drugs?
Yeah. So when I got there, things moved very quickly. I started having contractions at 3 a.m. and they were strong, not like how they got, but I kind of waited in bed for about 45 minutes, and I was timing them. They were about 3 to 5 minutes apart, and they're getting stronger. So I finally woke Nathan up, and we called the hospital. We called our doula. They all recommended going to the hospital because they were so close together already. So we did, and then it just ramped up so quickly. Usually for first-time moms, you could be in labor for days. You can be having those early contractions for days. So I showed up at the hospital, and I was like, vomited on the reception desk, and was vomiting and like going into the triage area. They were trying to, get my blood pressure and measure the baby's heart rate. And I was like throwing up. And so it was escalating really, really, really quickly. So I didn't have a lot of time to get settled in there and prepare. And use all the tools. I'd done a ton of research and taken classes and practice different techniques, and like there was like no time to do that because it all ramped up really quickly. That all to say, you asked about drugs. They finally checked me and I was 2 centimeters dilated, which is basically nothing because you have to get to 10. And the amount of pain I was feeling, it made me want to die inside a little bit. Because I felt like I was like ready to give birth. It was so painful already. And the midwife said, okay, well, you're only 2 centimeters dilated. Normally we'd send you home. But because I'm advanced maternal age and I was at 42 weeks, which is like a really dangerous age time to give birth, they say, they said, we'll keep you here and we'll be back in 4 hours to check on you. And I'm like, 4 hours? So then I just kind of endured contractions for another 2 hours until it got so bad. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like if this is what 2 centimeters is like, I tap out. I can't do this indefinitely. Because they're like, you're probably going to be in this place for the next 10 or 12 hours. And I was like, I can't do that. It's too bad. So we called in a nurse and she was like, well, you're only 2 centimeters. So the only thing we can offer at this stage is morphine. And I was kind of like, okay, like whatever you have, I can't be in this place anymore. But they finally checked me and I was actually at 8 centimeters. I wasn't at 2 centimeters. So at that point I was already so far along. I was like, well, this is already as painful as it's going to get. So let's just go. Let's just do this.
Was it as painful as it was going to get?
Nope. It got worse. And Nathan's here. Nathan was incredible. And he was there for every stage, like every contraction. He was like basically delivered the baby. So if you have any questions for Nathan, he's also an expert in this.
Wow. Oh wait, yeah. So the next question is gonna be for Nathan. But so it got worse? Like where did the pain get the worst?
Is that for me or for Nathan?
No, well, we're gonna ask you and then we're gonna ask Nathan that.
Well, so contractions are painful. And they eventually change into this urge. Your body has this undeniable urge to what they call bear down, which is to push the baby out. So your body just starts to do that, whether or not you're pushing or not. Like even you see in the movies, there's someone on the table with their like legs open and there's doctors telling them to push. Like that happens to a lot of people that are medicated because they sometimes can't feel the natural urge to push. So they're monitored and the doctors kind of tell them. When you're unmedicated, generally, like you feel everything. And my body was just doing it. My body was pushing the baby out with or without me. And that was by far the most painful part of the whole process. It lasted for 2 hours. From start to finish, so starting to push the baby out till when the baby came out. So it's 2 hours of like what I can only describe as torture. Because every time your body bears down, pushes, you get that feeling of your entire body coming out of your butthole for one. So that's not pleasant. And it's also happening during a contraction, which is also really painful. So it's like a triple whammy. And during a contraction, your body bears down 3 times. So that sucks, right? And then every time you bear down, the baby goes down a little bit and then comes back up. Goes down, comes back up. Goes down, comes back. So you're basically just being tortured by this human being coming in and out of your birth canal.
Why? Why does it keep going back up? I didn't know that part.
So part of what's happening is the process is that it's preparing the body of the female to push out a baby. So you can't do it all at once. It's got to stretch and then pull back and then stretch a little bit more and then pull back. So
oh my God. I don't understand why it has to be so painful. I think that's so dumb. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, if you think about what's actually happening, it makes sense, but it sucks. It's really hard.
But the like, body... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I laugh about it now. It's just, there's nothing that I'll ever do that's going to be harder than that. You know, it's...
Yeah, no, totally. Because, well, the thing is I feel like the body should adapt to not be painful, because pain is your body's way of saying stop doing something. So now it's doing something you can't stop, and it's the most painful thing that you'll ever experience. It doesn't make any sense. It's a poor design job is what it is.
Well, so there's two different kinds of pain. So there's the pain that you're describing that is, oh, something's wrong, don't continue any further. And then they have what they call transformational pain, which is this kind of pain, or it's like growing pains or certain things that happen throughout your life, like when you're going through a new stage, when you're like you're teething, or you know, there's a whole bunch of different examples, and it's just not the same kind of pain. It doesn't mean something's wrong or something's bad. It just means that, you know, you're going through this transformation, hence transformational pain.
Yeah, totally. So Nathan delivered the baby?
Well, with some help of some nurses and midwife.
I would say that I was there enough that if ever there was an emergency situation where someone was giving birth and there was no complications, I would be able to guide them through that process.
Wow. So you're like the guy in the sitcom that they're like, and you come running up. Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So wait.
If there's no complications, it's kind of, I mean, it's just a natural process that's just going to happen. So there's really not much to do except for help reposition the mother so that she can be as open as possible, and then encouraging her to bear down as much as possible.
So wait, so this was going to be like my 8th question, but I was going to ask Nathan, did you look, so you obviously looked there.
I saw the whole thing, all of it.
So has it been awkward seeing Erin after this? Have you been able to look her in the eye? Have you been able to look her in the hoo-hoo again? Like, go ahead.
Nathan?
I have not looked her in the eye. I don't think I've ever looked her in the eye, actually. But she's doing a lot of healing, so there hasn't been a lot of opportunity for me to see.
I didn't even want to look for a week or two.
Yeah. I think I just want to point out that I think there's probably anyone who's had a child or been around children probably wondering, what the hell are these guys doing, bringing their infant child to a podcast? Like, how is that going to be? How is that going to be sustainable in any manner? So I just wanted to point out.
I think the answer to that is that it won't be sustainable, but we're giving it a shot. We're going to see how it goes.
We are giving it a shot.
We have a comment from Hooligan Mama. Aw, baby girl, congratulations. So wait a minute. So Nathan, did all the disgust and everything go out the window because it's just like you're in awe of what's happening? Like,
yeah, I'll be honest. I was anxious about how I would do during the whole thing, or I feel like I feel like I'm an extremely empathetic person when it comes to injury. So trauma really scares me, or, freaks me out, I guess. I'd rather avoid, like, I'm the guy who cringes and closes his eyes during like scary movies and stuff. Right. And imagining Erin going through this pain, I was just wondering how it would be watching her go through that. Luckily, you kind of just step up to the occasion. Like, she's going through this, and all I can do is help encourage her through it. So I was able to, because I have this thing where if I'm, walking down the street and pass someone who's like on crutches, I'll feel like a physical sensation run through my body that's kind of like pain, kind of in acknowledge, like my body reacts and empathizes pretty strongly. So I actually kind of feel like a shock wave of feeling through my body, which is like, it doesn't feel good, right? So I was a little worried what that would be like. That didn't happen at all during this. And it just really, my job was to help encourage her and support her as much as I could. And it's just what I ended up doing. And it was, once it starts and gets going, you're just kind of along for the ride. And thankfully, it was 8 hours, 9 hours, which isn't that long, really. Even her pushing for 2 hours, I think what's the average, 1 to 4 hours is kind of what first time mothers do when they're pushing the baby out. So we're right in the center of that. And that was, watching her being told to push, which was obviously the most painful thing that she's ever had to do. And then being told, that moment where you're backing off because it hurts so much, that's where you need to double down and push harder. It's going to hurt more, but that's what you need to do. So I was watching Erin have taken the information that the thing that's the most painful, she needs to actively make it more painful over and over and over again, like every 2-3 minutes. Less than that. It seemed like less than that towards the end.
Yeah.
And then watching, I saw the whole thing, from like, oh, there's the little bit of the head. Because, Erin, she was unmedicated, so we were repositioning her pretty often. I wish I had pictures of every position we were in.
I guess I was under the impression that there could be some comfortable position to get into, which it just doesn't exist. And the midwife at one point was just kind of like, you're trying to get comfortable. It's not going to happen.
So, yeah, that was one thing. And let me just say this. So she goes through this entire thing. She doesn't have any medication. She has the baby. They did give her anesthesia to...
They did not give me anesthesia.
Local to deal with.
Oh,
yeah.
No. So I had some stitches, and they
have stitches.
They give you the lidocaine. They just rub it on there so that you don't feel them stitching up your nether region.
But afterwards, after all of this went down, they were offering her Tylenol, and they gave her a prescription for Advil. She didn't take anything. I took more Advil than her because I threw my back out because I was, holding her up and then lifting her legs up, and she'd be standing and then collapsing to the ground. It was very dramatic.
And like
a lot.
I don't say that at all to like pat myself on the back and say that this is wow, like look how great I am, or this is how it should be done. There was a lot of reasons, and whether or not you care to hear them, why I didn't want medication. And
one was a very personal,
it's all very personal, these decisions that you make. But part of it is the recovery is generally easier. And
I didn't know that.
It was my experience. Like the baby got put on my chest, and she started eating right away, which is also another benefit to not being medicated, is that I'm very alert, she's very alert, and it's generally a good start to the breastfeeding relationship, which is
she started breastfeeding right away.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
It might have been within the first 10 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Wow.
Oh God, where was I going with that?
The personal decision for on medication.
I was, so when she's starting to feed, and then it was like 1 p.m. I was like, okay, we good? Can we go home? Like I
we had the baby.
I was definitely sore and stuff like that, but I felt good. Like we spent the whole day like FaceTiming with our family and our siblings, and
I know you texted me, oh my God, I had a baby, and like whatever, like Instagram and stuff, whatever.
The recovery is not a cakewalk. Like you bleed and there's soreness and stuff like that, and there were stitches, and partly there were stitches because of the way they made me push, which I didn't want to do, but it's a whole other thing.
It looks like I've been identified as an empath. That's why I have those feelings when people. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
So you have a superpower. Well, I was going to ask you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, ask away, David.
I was going to ask you a special question later on, but I guess we'll ask it now. So, did the baby rip anything on the way out?
Yeah. So that's why I got stitches. Yeah. So there's different degree tears. It can go from 1 to 4. Mine was a 2nd degree. And kind of what I was alluding to before is there are certain positions that you can push in that kind of let gravity do most of the work. Not most of the work, a lot of the work. And most of the time you can have a baby and not tear. But they were telling me that the heart rate of the baby wasn't responding well to those positions, so they made me do the traditional lie on my back to push, and that's generally the position where you tear, because it's just not natural, and you're like forcing your body to be in a position where your skin is stretched. So that's, and I could feel that it wasn't good when I was doing it, but they told me I had to do it, so I did.
So you can feel it tearing while it's tearing?
Oh no, at that point everything's just on fire, so you can't isolate that feeling.
Which is a good thing, I would say.
Probably.
You can't even
everything feels like hell. So
yeah, I was watching her take in the realization that they wanted her to push harder. And I don't think I could. I would prefer to be drugged for what she had to go through. But David, to answer your question from before, so the head comes out a little bit more. And then suddenly there was a baby's head, like sticking out, facing Aaron's left leg. And then the doctor spun the baby's head so that I'm like 2 feet away from, not even that 2 feet away from this baby's face, all purple and like this. And then it was, a few more pushes and then jumped right up onto her. We pulled the baby out onto her, onto Erin's belly because she was still connected by the umbilical cord, of course. And she had her face turned towards me and immediately started crying and just like vomited out all this stuff that was, the fluid, I guess. What do you call it? And then her eyes popped open. And then we let a few minutes for the umbilical cord to do its thing. And then we cut it and she was up on Erin's chest, looking her dead in the eye. She was very alert. It was really impressive how alert it was, but it was bizarre because suddenly you're seeing the top of this head and trying to figure out how's that gonna, doesn't make sense that it's gonna come out. Like it doesn't look like it's gonna work. And then suddenly there's just a head. It's really amazing.
We just started using the pacifier today, so this is new for us and for her. Anyway.
Does she like it? Oh, no, she spit it right out.
She likes it, but it's kind of, here, I can do it this way.
How funny.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I want to know, because if people know Erin, they know she gets hungry. And because did you eat during labor at all? Were you snacking or eating?
Oh my God. You know what? I brought so much food, and the second labor started, I couldn't eat anything. But the second it came out, all I wanted to do was eat. And I basically ate nonstop for the next 2 days.
Wait, was there food? Like, did they have craft services set up for you after the baby came? Like, where did
we brought it. I bought it. Like I was stocking up over the weeks and months before.
Once they moved us to the room, there was meals for Erin, of course, that they provided. But we had so many snacks; it was great.
And we did get sushi the first night, and we got hoagies the second night, which are two things that you're not supposed to eat as a pregnant lady. So things I was missing over the last year.
Wait, why can't you eat hoagies as a pregnant lady?
They say that the cold cuts can harbor bacteria. It's really unlikely. It's the same reason you can't eat sushi, because it's raw fish.
Might as well.
I broke some rules while I was pregnant, but I didn't break that rule. So
that's good. Did family come and bring you food and stuff?
So when we got home, we had some family come and
okay.
Yeah, cook for us and bring us some freezer meals.
We're still stocked.
Which is the most amazing thing you can do for new parents.
That's awesome.
I wish I knew, like when my nephews were born and when other friends I've had kids, like, you think that you want to come over and like hold the baby and like ask questions, and really the parents just need food. Just get them food. I wish I would have done that. I would have done that for people, but I'll pay it forward now.
Nathan, we have a health and fitness and beauty tip from the grandmother.
Oh yeah, all that bouncing will develop thunder thighs and burn calories. So what I've always wondered, thunder thighs.
For our audio listeners, Nathan is on an exercise ball, bouncing up and down.
Oh, am I? I'm actually squatting without anything beneath me, just bouncing.
Okay, I have one question for both of you, and then I have the question we ask everybody. The first question is, it's a two-parter. Erin, at any time, or Nathan, did you ever hear her say, I can't, like in the movies, they always have the mother saying, I can't. And was Nathan any help, or did he tell you, shut up, be quiet, we're doing something here. Go.
We definitely called our doula at one point, and we didn't have her there physically, but we had her to call in case we needed her, and she was very, very helpful. And the question that Aaron had for her was like, this really hurts. And the doula was just like, yep, it's really painful. So there was that moment of like, oh, it really is this bad.
It's like,
it's just this bad.
There's really, like, I was calling her to be like, what can I do? Like, how do I make this more comfortable? What techniques am I not using? And she's just like, no, you're in it. It's really, really hard.
Wait, I have to interrupt here really fast, because every sitcom, every movie, every TV show, everything ever having to do with, like, there's been millions of shows about babies, and it's always how painful it is for the mother. How come it's a surprise every time a mother gives birth?
Because you're never, for your first child, you cannot be prepared for how painful it is. Like, and David, you know me, like, I've run marathons. I'm an athlete. I do have a high tolerance for pain, and you know that I'm a prepper. Like, I prepped hardcore for labor and birth. I read all the things. I did all the things you're supposed to do. I did all the squats, and, you know, thinking I was ready. I remember, like, a month before I delivered, I was like, I'm ready. Like, I got this. I can do this. And I did, and I do have it. Like, I was able to do it, but there's just nothing that can prepare you for how incredibly painful it is.
Yeah. I would say that you think like it's going to be this painful, but you just don't realize it's actually like through the roof.
Yeah.
That's what as I witnessed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole other level.
See, that's what mothers should tell other mothers. Like, if a mother asks you, tell her that. Be like, just surrender to the pain. You're never going to feel pain like this. But I don't know. And it's funny. But anyway, so was Nathan helpful, or was he a pain in the ass?
I don't know if I'm going to say, like, I don't know if I could have done it without Nathan. Obviously, like, you don't have a choice at a certain point. Your body's just taking over. But, like, I just feel like I would have been lost without a partner there, because they just leave you in the room laboring. You know, like, they were like, okay, back in 4 hours. And even when I was 8 centimeters, they were like, okay, well, we'll come back in a couple hours. And I was like, at that point, I was like laying at the bottom of the shower, like pushing, not even knowing that I was pushing, because my body started pushing. But so I would have just been alone for that had it not been for Nathan. And he was there for every contraction, helping me breathe. And we took the same class. So there's certain techniques that we both knew that when he saw that I was, you know, not doing them right, he could bring me back. And there are techniques that can help you manage. It doesn't really alleviate pain, but it can help you get through the next one, and then trying to relax in between contractions, which is your only rest time, and you have to take advantage of that. Just having those reminders, having support, especially when I was pushing. He was the only one telling me I was doing a good job, and I couldn't feel that I was making progress. So when he just seemed so excited, like, you're doing it. So I was like, yeah, I'm doing it.
So that helped even through all the pain. You're like, oh, wow, I'm doing it.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I'll say 2 things about this. One is Aaron and I aren't tiny people. We're kind of on the larger side of humans, and everyone who was in the room helping us, they were excellent, but they were all way smaller than us. And and also there's not very many people nowadays, not to harp on the unmedicated birth thing, there's very few people statistically who do that in the United States now. So most people are medicated. They're not having to they're not dealing with the pain as much, or having to figure that out. So it was a very active labor the whole way through. So she was always wanting to move. I was always helping her. And then once we started getting to a place where she was on the bed, like, I needed to hold a leg up, or both, like, help hold her body in certain positions, and which was pretty exhausting. So I wasn't dealing with the pain. That came later with my back pain, but I was it was exhausting. It was a very active participation. And the other thing is, like, the breathing patterns that we were using. There was a moment, which is kind of like they call the transition period, once you're almost or fully dilated, and then you have kind of maybe 20 minutes or so before the pushing really kicks in, where you're still experiencing as intense contractions, but she was so in the zone with the breathing that, like, she kind of was like in a meditative state for about 20 or 25 minutes, where I was worried that the pregnancy had stalled, like the labor had stalled, which can happen where it kind of backs off. But she was just, she was in such a zone, she was able to ride through the contraction, and then just like pretty much, she was nearly falling asleep during the down periods.
Yeah, I was like fully naked, like leaning on an exercise ball in the shower. That's how I got through that stage.
Wow.
Yeah, honesty falls out the window when you're in labor, by the way. Like, it doesn't matter who, like, you have no clothes on. It doesn't matter who's around, who sees anything. It's just like,
you didn't care. You're like, fuck it, fuck you.
You don't have time. Like, there's no, like, you don't have to think about that stuff.
The other thing I'll say, the women were obviously very helpful because they knew what to do and have gone through this before, but they were kind of like, do this. I felt like my job was more of coaching Erin, like more to encourage her. And they were being encouraging, but they don't have the relationship that we have. They don't, seeing how much pain she was in, I felt like it was my job to meet that with as much enthusiasm as I could.
And he did, and it was so helpful in those 2 hours of the most intense pain I've ever felt. Just having someone telling me that what I'm doing is working is you need that. Otherwise you become defeated and you'd stop trying,
Yeah, totally.
Which is when interventions would then.
Yeah, which is what I was trying to avoid. I didn't want anybody to do anything. Like I knew that I wanted my body to be able to do it the way it's meant to be done. That was my preference. So they did start threatening interventions at the very end of pushing because they wanted it to go faster. So yeah, but they didn't have to do that, thankfully.
As soon as the doctor started putting on like scrubs, because she was just coming in and checking, the midwife, she'd come in and check periodically, and then we knew it was going to happen. And then she started suiting up, like putting on gloves. I was like, okay, we're definitely getting close now. And laying down the plastic wrap to catch everything that comes out. A lot of stuff comes out.
This is an interesting comment. It was something I was going to bring up from Dennis. The birth process is the ultimate relationship test. You either pass or fail. I think that's a really interesting comment because I think Nathan and I, we even shared this with each other, but we felt like our relationship did it went to a new level after you go through something like that. And if it was a test, we passed with flying colors and just felt like closer. Like we just went through the most incredible, insane thing together and came out.
She's doing some stretches in my arm.
That is awesome. Because think of all the women. Because like my father was not in the delivery room for my birth or my brother's birth. So like, yeah, I never thought of it that way. My mom was just alone with the doctor and these people she didn't know. So that is interesting. That is interesting to go through the hardest thing you go through without anybody. That's interesting.
I think
that probably. Oh yeah.
I was just gonna say, I don't. Like we didn't know to bring food to people who have had babies in the past, or like what new mothers knew. I feel like there's a lack of knowledge about this whole process, and at least for me, and going back just to answer off of that, like how it's been done in the United States, or since Western medicine has really taken over from just midwives kind of delivering babies. Like that was a transition that happened in Western medicine where it was like doctors deliver babies now, and this is how we do it. And I feel like there's a lot of unknown that kind of resulted from that, a lot of fog in the system. So.
Yeah, totally. Well, they killed because a bunch of the witches they killed in Salem were midwives and stuff that were more powerful than the doctors. So, so I'm going to ask the question we ask everybody on this program: what's the best thing about childbirth, and what's the worst thing about childbirth?
For me, for Nathan,
I'll go both. Yeah. The best thing was when the baby pops out, and it's Erin. It's such a. People are like, it's magical. It's so magical. It is. It feels like a magic trick because you don't see a baby, and then suddenly there's a baby's head, and then suddenly there's like this body that emerges, and there's a baby in the room when there wasn't a baby in the room, even though it was like hidden. So it feels very surreal. And that moment was just, that was really spectacular. And Erin, I was like, you know, she's like looking down at her baby. I'm like, you just delivered our baby. And she's like, what is happening? She completely captured how surreal it is. The worst part, I mean, it was really just seeing Erin in so much pain. Like, that sucked. But I knew she could get through it. So there was like the worry of things going wrong, which is, you know, kind of is around from the moment the pregnancy starts, where you just start to worry about things that can go wrong. But I almost have to say there's not a worse part, because things turned out so well. We were really lucky. So I just have to say the pain that Erin had to endure.
Yeah. For me, the worst thing I think was when I got to the hospital and I was in the amount of pain that I was in, and they told me that I was only 2 centimeters and I could be like that for 12 hours. And they were going to check on me in 4 hours. Like, that felt I felt really defeated at that point. And as painful as the pushing was, that moment was like, oh man, like this is going to be way worse than I ever thought. I don't know, the best thing, I mean, obviously, like, when you're done, when birth is over, it's the best part. And like, it wasn't like this moment of like mind-blowing unconditional love. It was just like, it was like, I cannot believe that this happened, and this was inside of me, and this is now in my arms. And like, I was crying, going, what is happening? What is this? My mind was blown. But if I had to isolate a moment, it would be like how alert she was and how quickly she figured out how to breastfeed. And she was like instantly latched perfectly, and like everything went so well with that right away. And that was the thing I would say very, very concerned about going into it. So
wait, so she started breastfeeding right away. Now, okay, let's talk about breastfeeding, because Erin and I were talking about this right before we went on, and I think it's the stupidest thing in the whole world that people are offended by breastfeeding, and that people have any problem with breastfeeding is just bizarre. That says more about the person than it says about anything. There's something wrong with that person who is offended by breastfeeding. But let's talk about breastfeeding. Is it painful? And it's weird and awkward. It is weird and awkward because you've never had milk in your breast before, but now all of a sudden you're feeding this baby out of your breasts. And then is it awkward? Like, can you look her in the eye afterwards? Like, like take us through that. And is it painful? And go.
It's not weird or awkward. It definitely feels like that's what's meant to happen. Yeah, she stares at me in the eyes while she feeds, so we're beyond that. What can I say about it? What's your specific question? Was
it painful when it started?
So when she first starts, no. But your nipples get really sore, and they stay pretty sore for the first week. To the point where I just couldn't wear a shirt or have any fabric covering me. So I just walked around topless for a week.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah. And
this is the most important question. I can't believe I didn't ask this earlier. So what cup size did you start out at, and what cup size did you go up to?
I don't know. I don't wear shirts or bras anymore, so I don't really know. But I do have some hefty jugs now.
She went from mosquito bites to bajungas.
So that's awesome. Did you take any Instagram pics of your new gajungas?
No, one of our lactation consultants, though, that was her suggestion, was like, take a picture. Your boobs are never going to be this big again.
Take a pic. Well, they can be if you play your cards right.
Yeah, there are, generally, like, breastfeeding has gone so well for us. I'm really grateful. It's not perfect. Like, my boobs leak, which is part of the reason why I just don't wear clothes, because I just go through shirts. So it's just easier to like have towels.
Leak is an understatement. Sometimes she's just shooting milk across the room.
It's like,
Has she done it just to have you just done it just to be funny and hit Nathan with some milk? Because that is the kind of relationship they have. You haven't done that?
Not. You know, I laugh about it, but it's annoying. That's an annoying part of this. Like the baby will pull her head away, and then I'll just be squirting her in the face. Part of that's just because I have a very abundant supply, and it could be way worse. There's a lot of women that don't make enough milk or can't make any milk and have to supplement with formula, and so I don't have that problem, thankfully. But it comes with its own challenges for sure.
That is great. You guys have had a very fortunate child birthing process. Are you guys #grateful?
#so grateful.
One of our listeners saying the worst is having a blue baby. Went through that myself. He ended up okay, but it went from a 1-hour process to literally 24 hours awake in the room with the doctors, and he ended up in a bubble. And his son is a very happy, good son now.
Eli. Oh, that's good, Dennis. We're sorry about that.
Why that would I don't know anything about that condition or why that would happen. Sounds scary. No, we're super grateful. Things did go really well.
We're both members of different new parent groups on Facebook. So I'm a member of some dad's group, and I don't know, every day see someone post something that's pretty sad. There's I think hundreds of people in this group, but it's and sometimes it's the saddest thing you could hear, but sometimes it's just a little sad. And then there's a lot of mostly just great, happy people. But it is a thing that can be pretty painful at times, I think. So
there's so much that can go wrong, and even to have a fraction of it go right, you have to really count your blessings. So
that's something that I think is really been real for us, is just has made us very grateful about things, that she's healthy, that things went well, that we're okay, that it's
and even having a newborn, we've it's not easy, but we've been tag teaming the different challenges and tasks, and we're doing just about as well as you could possibly do having a newborn. Also grateful for that too. I can't imagine single moms are doing this alone. I can't imagine having twins, having more than one. Right. So many things. But
that's awesome. Congratulations. And I have to say that she's lucky to have the kind of parents that would join a Facebook group to find out about things. Because a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people have parents that are like,
yeah, her mom read 15 books on pregnancy and birth and child rearing.
You should tell her. Did you ever tell her that to make her feel guilty?
I will, when she's able to comprehend things.
I try to come up with something new every day to tell her to make her feel guilty.
That's good. I have a feeling that, well, neither one of you guys are going to, you guys don't seem like the type of parents that are super strict disciplinarians, get mad and stuff. But I have a feeling she's going to be able to tie Nathan around her finger easier than Aaron a little bit.
I don't know. I feel like it might be me.
Well, I mean, I feel like she will. I was going to say that. I feel like she will be able to tie you around her finger, but I think that Nathan will for sure just be around her finger. Just that. Are you guys planning on having another one?
Oh my God. I can't even imagine. I can't think about that. Yeah.
You don't have to. You don't have to. I don't want to be one of those people that tries to talk you into it. You don't have to, for sure.
Listen, we both had siblings that we adore. And I think that there's probably someplace locked away deep where we wouldn't want her to not have the amazing experience of having a sibling, but it's a lot. It's so much to go through, especially for me.
You can adopt.
That's true.
Yeah.
Adoption. I think adoption is one of the noblest things a person can do. I really do. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm a big fan of that as well. So it's something I would definitely consider, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely too early to go down that road.
Yeah, to imagine. That's why like people who have twins, that's crazy because just having her is a handful at this point. Not to mention all of the stuff that a mother has to go through giving birth and being pregnant, which is just insane. More than a year of insane trauma to your body. Trauma changes.
Trauma to the mama. Okay, are you guys ready for the hardball question?
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron, and I quote, you once said that babies are little bastards and they're just big balls of germs. They're just disgusting little balls of germs. Nathan, you can back me up. You heard her say that. Do you still agree with old Aaron?
So I agree with a part of old Aaron. Somebody asked me this recently, and I still feel that way about other people's kids. But not her. It's a good one.
How funny. Here, do you guys? Oh,
it is so different when it's your kid. Like she might I think she's the cutest baby ever. She might be like a monster to other people. I don't know. You know, I'm pretty sure she's cute, but like you have blinders on when you're a parent. You love your kid and you think that they're amazing and adorable. And like
I have a feeling
right now.
I have a feeling you guys won't do that as much because you guys have noticed when other kids. I've seen you notice other kids that are monsters. So
I certainly don't want to raise a monster. That's not the plan here.
Yeah, and before I go on to the next comment, did you see the nice compliment you got?
We're an awesome team.
Somebody said we're an awesome team.
Do your cats like the baby?
The cats kind of don't care.
They don't really?
Yeah. They I think Siggy's having a really hard time not being my focus anymore. So he's acting out a little bit, but yeah, they come up and sniff her probably once a day, and they really don't want anything else to do with her. So, which is fine. Part of me had to imagine them like cuddling together, but I'd rather them just stay away at this point. So,
okay, here's another hardball question: who's been the most helpful in your family, and who's been the least helpful in your family?
That's really hard to say because so many people have been so incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys don't have a dysfunctional family, unfortunately.
Yeah. This is another way where we're incredibly blessed and lucky. Blessed. We're very grateful for how supportive people have been.
I don't know. Yeah, we had both of our sets of parents, the first week that came in and out, and everybody was amazing and helpful in all the ways that they can be helpful. So
that's awesome. Did the grandmothers scream over the baby like it was the second coming of the Beatles?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what they did. Way to put earplug cords in little ears.
Yeah.
Because that is one of my favorite things is when the grandmothers go berserk over the babies. That cracks me up.
Definitely very satisfying to share that with our families.
Do they take the baby? I want the baby, and they just took the baby for hours. Like, oh, baby, give me the baby.
Oh, wonderful.
You finally got to, is that the first time you got to take a shower? Is when your mom took the baby?
No, I've showered every day since labor, and he hasn't.
You haven't?
Didn't we talk about this since COVID started? What are showers anymore?
Oh my God, I love taking showers.
Probably the cleanest I've ever been since giving birth.
Well, that's because you're constantly leaking.
That's part of it. That's true. And part of it's my body's healing and I need to keep things clean. So
totally. Does she smell like sour milk, Nathan?
Everything smells like sour milk.
Yeah, our whole house is just covered in breast milk at this point.
That's a crack up.
You laugh, but it's pretty much true.
Yeah, if it's a girl, dad always loses. So yeah, I guess I'll be the one that.
You guys are going to be tight.
I hope so.
Totally. Is there anything that changed that you didn't expect would change?
With what?
Like since having the baby? Yeah, since having like from your old lives to now your new lives, because this is ushers in a new era. I could say one change that shocked me. You guys want to hear it?
Yeah.
Because Aaron and Nathan used to be the type of people that stayed up till 2 a.m. Even when Nathan had to go to work at 6 a.m. the next morning, he'd be up till 2. Oh, party, bro! And now they go to bed at 9 o'clock.
That is true. We had to move the podcast up an hour because we transitioned her to into bed around 9:30. So that you nailed it. That is the biggest change for sure. And then we're up, up early with her. So
like what time? Like 5 or something?
No, like Nathan brings her downstairs between 6 and 7. And I have to feed her every 2 to 3 hours throughout the night. So
So does she sleep with you guys? She sleeps between you, or?
She sleeps in a sidecar bassinet next to us.
Oh, that's good. So you just roll over and stick your boob in her mouth and go back to sleep?
So like if she's having a really hard time, sometimes I'll bring her into bed and do that. But generally she has her own sleep space.
And she'll sit up and feed her like, daytime. So it is every 2 to 3 hours, Erin has to like legitimately wake up, sit up, like prepare her situation to bring up a baby and feed her for 15 minutes.
And preparing my situation is like covering the surrounding area in towels.
Just because it squirts everywhere?
It's like a fire hose without someone holding it. David. It's just like going crazy.
Maybe you need to get a crew in.
I would say another I've been really enjoying going to bed I always get a little frustrated that it's bedtime already, but as soon as we're upstairs, I'm like, I'm so happy I'm going to be lying down to go to bed. So that's been really nice.
This is also my new life, is taking photos of the baby.
And also when I wake up at 6 or 7, wherever in there, to bring her downstairs, I'm always pissed for a second and then really happy that I'm up that early. So that's been a surprise. Also, just I guess I'm certainly still in the honeymoon phase of having a baby, I guess, where it's just I feel like my mood is in general a little higher, which is really nice. Just feeling really, just
maybe
kind of.
It's just what it is, though.
I hope that's just what it is, because it
doesn't
feels
need
good.
to be a honeymoon phase. Maybe it's just our lives just got a little bit better. We have.
Yeah, and for me, it's like a little less narcissistic or a little less self-focused, So I still can do that, but in general, there's a lot of other things to focus on, and that feels good. So.
Well, they say the baby high is a real thing. Like when you hold a baby, you get kind of high, like not high, but your hormones kick in, so you got all
endorphins.
Well, it's also a very real thing that the baby can sense and feed off your energy. So, we are keeping our anxieties in check too. If we're upset, she's going to be more upset, so when she's screaming in our face, you just try to keep it even as possible. I don't know if my brother is listening, but we definitely reference him often because he's like the shining star of parenting, where seems like everything just rolls off his back. He's so positive about everything. Even the most challenging stages of his kid's life have been, he just talks about, with starry father eyes. So we try to channel our inner Chris as much as possible.
Oh, that's cool. Wait, Nathan, you said when you first wake up, you're pissed, but then you get happy. What are you pissed about?
Just waking up and not sleeping for another.
I
feel like that every morning when you wake up. I feel like that's waking up, as you wake up angry that you're waking up.
No, totally. So do you take the baby away from her? You wake up and bring the baby downstairs?
I put her in a duffel bag and I take her downstairs, in the backyard, and hide her. No, yeah, I'll take her downstairs and hold her. Usually just change her right away, burp her because she's just been fed, and then let Erin sleep for a couple hours, depending on when my work schedule starts, because it fluctuates now. But thankfully, we're both able to work from home right now, so that's been kind of a blessing as well. I keep saying blessings.
Blessing's a stupid word, but it's hard to.
It's been really great, useful. So yeah, usually for an hour or two, I'll have her until Erin's gotten a little bit more sleep, and then can come down, and then we switch roles.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, I just don't produce as much milk.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Well, that's all the questions I have. If you guys want to read the last viewer comment.
It's insane, the reaction when you have your baby. It's a natural biological reaction. Shaking, freaking out, laughing, all normal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's another thing you can't prepare for. Like, how are you going to react when you have your kid for the first time? I wouldn't have guessed that I would have reacted the way I did.
What do you mean, like actually loving the baby, or?
I know, I was just in absolute shock. Like, it's the only way I can describe it. Like, I was like, tears were shooting out of the corners of my eyes, and I was just like, I couldn't believe, like, that wasn't comprehending what just happened. It's true, like mind-blowing in the actual sense of what that means.
Yeah, like I said, it felt like a magic trick. It felt like like, wait, there was a baby in there a whole time, like, and now it's right there physically. Like, it's so surreal.
Totally.
That's what's happening, but to actually see it in real time happen, it's just weird.
Yeah.
No, totally. And Erin was 2 weeks late, so she had a 2-week-old woman inside of her for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. You didn't really ask about that, so we don't have to go down that road. But that was a whole adventure, just being late and what that means in America and our healthcare system and what that does to the mom. And so.
Oh, I didn't know that there was anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the medical establishment has determined that there's a certain amount of weeks that a baby should be born within, and they kind of pull the plug after that. So there can be pressure towards the end, because as the baby is later and later, there's the risk of certain complications occurring. And after a certain point, there's certainly a lot of, that is true to a degree. From what Erin's research and we've talked about, it sounds like the United States seems to err a little early. A
lot of first-time moms give birth late. I think the average is 40 weeks and 5 days, which is 5 days past due date. And if you hit your due date, like, they'll already be telling you need to schedule your induction day. And they usually won't let people go past 41 weeks. And I fought pretty hard, to the point where it was really affecting my mental health, with how hard they were pushing back. And the last week was really tough.
But that's really dumb, because you're not the only person I've talked to that has had like a 2-week, labor and had a healthy baby. So
it's very common, especially outside of the US. You can easily have a healthy baby. Like, my grandmother had all 6 kids at 43 weeks. And it's also a genetic thing if you gestate a little bit longer. One of the resources I had was she had all of her kids at between 41 and 42 weeks. And she's just like, my body just takes a little bit longer. That's just me. And
so
there's really room for that in the American healthcare system. Like, if you don't,
that's so dumb.
Yeah. If you hit a certain point and it's not cookie cutter, doesn't fit into what they think is right, then they're going to start to scare you. They start to tell you that, your body's not working correctly, or the baby's going to die, or you're going to be unhealthy, or something's going to go wrong, because, and then that, when you're in that vulnerable state as a late term pregnant lady, it like gets into your brain. It's like a toxin, and and they scheduled me an induction day without even consulting with me, and that messed with my head.
Sucks. Our health system is so corrupt, because it's all just to make money. It's all just like, hey, gotta get it out and schedule another thing. Like, that's what they want to do. They just want to schedule as many processes as they can so that they can charge you more. Oh, that infuriates me.
And it's funny, so the first induction date that they scheduled was Wednesday, the 17th. And I called them and yelled at them. I was like, you didn't even ask me, and you scheduled this date. This is not cool. And then I fought back, and they're like, well, the latest we can do it. The latest you'll be allowed to deliver at our hospital is Friday. So if you're not in labor before Friday, which is 2 days later, we're going to induce you, or you can't come here, basically, is what they said. So they put a deadline on this natural process that you have no control over and say that if it doesn't happen by this day, you either can't come to this hospital or we're going to induce you artificially, even though that's not what you want. So it's a big mind fuck. It's hard to explain like what that does to you in that stage.
But I understand. I'm pissed off right now.
But I went into labor the day before this deadline induction. So
so what do they expect you to do? Like you just have to find another hospital?
No, they just like I would have had to do the induction because there would be no other choice for me, unless give birth on the sidewalk somewhere.
That's so obnoxious. I don't like that. That's
a little podcast on some of this stuff because I had strong preferences for how I wanted things to be, and I have lots of reasons for them. Not everybody is going to agree with them, and that's fine. But when you have people starting to put doubts in your head about what you know to be true for yourself, it's tough. That was tough. That was the hardest part of the entire pregnancy was that last week, and it's because of the doctors in the hospital.
So wait, did you vax or anti-vax your daughter?
We vaxxed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We talked about it though. There were some things we didn't do. There's some things that were unnecessary that I said no to. But yeah, we did the vax.
That's cool. Sorry, go ahead.
She's just having little sleep spasms, which is they often tell you to swaddle your baby so those spasms don't wake you up. But since she's just laying here in her diaper,
her arms,
see her arms flying up.
And that's supposed to be. I read that what he's doing right now is supposed to be so good for her. Just like sleeping with her father is supposed to be a very healthy thing. That's nice.
David, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be Uncle David?
Aww, it's cute. Wait, where's her bow? God damn it! I made demands that she have a bow on her. They got her all these bows bigger than her head, and it's such a fabulous signature style.
It's so hot down here. That's why the baby doesn't have any clothes on because we were like sweating our asses off.
All right, the first time I meet her, she better have a bow the size of my head on her head.
Actually, some of our listeners were the ones that supplied our bows.
They're beautiful.
We have a solid bow supply.
Yeah.
Nice. That's so awesome. I'm glad you guys bought into it. I'm glad you guys aren't anti-bow.
Listen,
that would have been terrible.
The bows, I was not pro bow, but they are so cute. I'm on board now.
They're this big. Like her head is this big and they're this big. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's like British royalty's hats.
Yeah, when her head gets a little big, we have these turbans that have big bows on them, so it'll get more ridiculous.
Her bows need to just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
All right, David, final questions.
All right, I don't have any more questions, but either one of you guys want to read the final oh my God. Final. Well, there's one more comment. Go ahead.
Aaron's right about all of it. It's talking about the medical stuff. You have to advocate for yourself. It's on your body's time, not the OBGYN's time or a hospital's time.
Bam.
Hey, can we have a PO box to send baby gifts?
Send us a message.
Yeah, you can send us a message.
We don't have a PO box, but we have an address that we probably won't say on air. But
she's gonna send you presents.
Spoiler alert, our address is actually our baby's birthday, which is sort of close enough.
Yeah, it was a weird city thing.
And Hooligan Mama sends good gifts. I just saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She sends thoughtful gifts to make you go, aww, aww. All right. Do you guys have any questions or comments before we end this?
Aside from the little issue we had earlier, she's been a trooper. We didn't know if we'd be able to get through this podcast at all. So this gives me hope that we'll be able to continue on.
Yeah.
Even with our fourth member here, she's going to be mostly silent except when she's screaming.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I can't wait to start screaming. Uh-oh.
So yeah, we have our handle at @unimaginary_friend. If you're not following us on Facebook and Instagram, please do. We will post when we're doing our next live stream. It should be within the next couple of weeks. And
it's going to be on something really good. Wait, go ahead. What?
We are accepting topic ideas. So if anyone has something that they would like us to cover, let us know. We will thoroughly research it and cover it live On
Right.
the
Yeah, but if we do your topic and you don't show up for the live stream, we're going to talk badly about you throughout the podcast.
100%.
That's true too. All right, we did it. This is our first post-baby podcast.
Shoot, I had a quote, now I forgot it. Whatever. Put a bow on the little bitch. Wait, is that offensive at all? Is that offensive at all? Wait.